So once in a fight, I finished the fight with a strong elbow to the person's face. He was badly hurt. He had a lot of swelling around his eye and stuff, and you just feel after it, especially after the fight and the adrenaline starts to wind down, you feel that remorseful feeling. You do feel like, is this something I want to continue doing?
When I signed to TMT Promotions, Floyd Mayweather and 50 Cent, and I remember 50 Cent said that he's going to take us out for a celebration. Somehow, someway we ended up in a nightclub on the first day of Ramadan. We basically told 50 Cent that we were getting ready to leave, and as we were leaving the club, this girl who was outside the club says to him, "Hey 50, where you going, baby?" He's like, "Yo baby, you lucky it's Ramadan."
I see boys, you know, I know they have troubled lives. I know they have maybe trouble at school, maybe they have trouble at home. Some of the boys, I know their fathers aren't involved in their lives, and they come to me as if I'm their big brother, you know. Yeah, it's pretty intense.
At The Tax Factor, we think beyond tax. Our expert accountants are dedicated to helping you reach your goals, whether launching a new business or filing your taxes. With 5 convenient locations across Sydney, let us take the stress out of tax. Come see us today.
My name is Ali Al Khair. Some of my accolades include state wrestling champion, national wrestling champion.
My name is Hani Spat, and I'm a professional mixed martial artist and a gym owner.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Burak Salman. I'm a 15-time Australian champion in Jiu-Jitsu.
My name is Vincenzo Bella Bagnaro. I've been training martial arts for the past 14 years. I've also been coaching.
My name is Billy Dibb, also known as Billy the Kid Dibb. I'm a former 2-time boxing world champion in the featherweight and super featherweight weight divisions.
The biggest ethical dilemma I have faced as a fighter.
Because I grew up with a single mother and had a lot of responsibility. My biggest battle, man, when I was coming up the ranks, I wanted to travel and sacrifice 1, 2, 3 years of my life to this sport and make a big name for myself. I had the urge to do it, but the constant battle was, can I leave my mother and travel for long periods of time? So I hid my trips from my mother, how long my trips were. Like, I'll say it's a week, but the trip's 25 days. And the loss of barakah in that was huge, because although it was my dream come true, training at the best facility, best coaches, best team in the world, it wasn't what I expected it to be, you know. That infection that happened deep down, nobody knows this, but it's extending my tickets and staying that long abroad without your permission. It's like a slap in my face by Allah, you know, like it's a compassionate slap.
I hate fighting. Surprisingly, as someone that pretty much half my life I've been training to fight, but I don't like fighting and punching to the face. One, it's religious reasons where we can't strike the face. Going to those fights as well, it's just the scenery there where, you know, there's drinking and there's the women don't dress properly and the way everyone speaks, and there's too much fitna and there's too much chaos. So it became something where I kind of tried to force myself to dislike, so then I can stop going to those fights.
So once in a fight, I finished the fight with a strong elbow to the person's face, and I felt after he was badly hurt. When he got up, he was fine. He was fine in that sense, but he had a lot of swelling around his eye and stuff, and you just feel after it, especially after the fight and the adrenaline starts to wind down, you feel that remorseful feeling. You do feel like, is this something I want to continue doing? I had a fight on the weekend, and after he told me he's seen his opponent after it feeling down and feeling sad and hurt. He tells me my heart goes out to him, I feel bad for him. And that's one of the sadder ends of the sport that nobody really looks at. Like, your victory is someone else's defeat. Me personally, it's more from the religious side, where I feel like it affects me more, as in, I know this is the wrong thing to do, and if I continue doing it, I'm falling into sin.
I would definitely say the most ethical dilemma that I faced during the course of my boxing career was when I signed to TMT Promotions, Floyd Mayweather and 50 Cent. And I remember, you know, 50 Cent said that he's going to take us out for a celebration, and somehow, someway we ended up at a club, and I remember being on a plane on the way to Las Vegas and you know, and making dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes this a successful trip. And to me, this wasn't success. You know, ending up in a nightclub on the first day of Ramadan was like completely against what I believed in and against what I wanted. And so I had a discussion with my brother Ahmed, who was sitting next to me. I said, mate, we got to get out of here, and he agreed. And we basically told 50 Cent that we were getting ready to leave. And this was a club that he had paid a lot of money to get into. He'd basically paid $10,000 for the table, stuff. There was alcohol and everything all over the place. And my brother and I got up, and then 50 Cent followed. He left with us, and as we were leaving the club, this girl who was outside the club says to him, "Hey 50, where you going, baby?" He's like, "Yo, baby, you lucky it's Ramadan."
Being a fighter has challenged my understanding of Qadr and divine decree. I take this one personally, because every time before I compete, I always make the same dua, and it's, if Allah has willed this for me, and it's the outcome that I need, then give it to me. And if the outcome is going to be bad, then take it away from me. And there's been many times that I really, really want to win matches, and I've lost. One of them was against a really high level competitor who's one of the best in the world. His name is Isaac Michel. And I was versing him, and it was going to be a draw up until the last 20 seconds, and then he subbed me. And then I remember going back to the stage, and then I was just upset, but I said, this is what Allah has written for me.
I injured my knee in training. It was a wrestling accident. I got taken down by a much heavier guy, and it was more the landing that got stuffed, and it twisted my knee and lost maybe 3 of my ligaments. So it's been 5 years now since the injury. I haven't competed since, and every time I tried to recover from it, I would just get sent back down the rabbit hole. I always look back and say, what if? But I know, I can imagine me achieving all the goals that I wanted to achieve, and me achieving my dreams. But I know that if this is what's happened to me, then this is what was better for me. I know that maybe Allah's protected me from something much worse. That maybe a lifestyle wasn't good for me. Maybe me pursuing my dreams, maybe me becoming successful in that field wasn't good for me. And I see now already in my deen and in my lifestyle and in my mindset, the person I am today is a much better person than the person I was back then. Alhamdulillah, that's why I'm grateful for it, and that's why I say, even if I can go back and change it, even if I can go back and not train that day and not get that injury, I still would go back and do it, because I know that this is what's better for me.
I have been looked at differently because I'm a Muslim athlete. I think it's in our community, when we go to fight in areas that are not really our area, pretty much, where they kind of treat us differently. They, even if we won the fight and all the fans know we won the fight, it's just because that judge maybe doesn't agree with the way we're looking or the way our coaches look, with beards and or Arabs or Muslims coming in.
Well, as a young boy coming up in the amateur circuit, I was a young Lebanese boy who was born in Australia. I looked the way that I look, and here I was facing fighters who came from an Australian background and had blonde hair and blue eyes, and obviously there was a lot of favoritism when it came to these things, and that was one of the most difficult things that I faced as an amateur boxer. I was always dealing with not just fighting my opponent, but also fighting the judges and fighting the referee, and it was at times very, very unfair. But I think what it did was it actually built me to be the person that I am today, the resilient person that I am today, and that's why I am who I am today.
What is the most frightening situation you have ever been in, and how did you manage it? One of the most frightening situations I've ever been in was when my brother called and said that there were a few people trying to attack him close by, and then I straight away rushed to help him. He told me that they had a weapon, and honestly, I was scared, but I was more scared about my brother being hurt. I just grabbed the guy that had the weapon. I didn't even think about it. I just didn't even know when I asked who has the weapon, and then I seen it, and I just grabbed him straight away and held him. And I was like, how dare you come to my brother with something like this? But the confidence that I had from obviously the grappling and whatnot, I could have been hurt, my brother could have been hurt, but I was more scared for my brother than I was for myself. Yeah.
I would definitely say the most frightening situation that I've been in my life was being diagnosed with cancer back in October 12th of 2022. To be told by the doctor that I had 6 months to live was quite frightening, because I had a young family that I was looking after, and you know, to be told that I wasn't going to have much time in this world was very, very daunting. And I would say the journey was quite excruciating, and it was a journey where I had to basically bite down on a mouth guard as hard as I could and just battle this chemotherapy, because I've never faced an opponent in my life as tough as chemotherapy. But through surrendering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I managed to overcome that demon of an opponent.
Muslim girls don't need to learn martial arts. That's a statement that I strongly disagree with. We never know, especially now with so much racial attacks, so many things going on in the world, that you want to make sure your sister, your daughter, your wife is able to defend herself if there was a case that you were never there. But also to make sure that they build the confidence that they know themselves what they're capable of. We have a lot of young girls who are training, and you just see their development. Some of them come in obviously when they're not wearing the hijab, then they start to wear the hijab, and then it's like, how do you build their bond with that, you know, and how can they still train, and how can they still continue their journey?
I have seen steroids become a major problem amongst Muslims. Unfortunately, this is the case because a community is starting to rely on this to be strong, to be the tough guy, to be maybe influential, maybe be confident. Like I see someone he's walking around 60 kilos, 70 kilos, suddenly he's 95 kilos in a few months, and he's the toughest guy, most confident guy. He couldn't make eye contact a month ago, and now he can make eye contact, and he's trying to be a bully. Bro, you're relying on a substance to be confident. You're relying on a substance to be strong. I'm not relying on that. I'm relying on what I've done over the years. I'm relying on all the boxes I've ticked of who I've become. So this is much more powerful because that's the true you versus the fake him.
Yeah, so a lot of Muslims don't understand the severity of the side effects of steroids. When people do take steroids, they start off on a small dosage and then they become quite immune to it. They feel like they need more. And this leads to an abuse, high dosages of steroids, especially for younger people who already have a high level of testosterone in the system. The side effects could be rage, changing someone's character, overconfidence. It becomes quite distracted for a person who's abusing steroids to focus on their deen, to have patience in things like memorizing Quran or worshipping throughout the night.
I knew people that were on the steroids, and for a while, and they were fighters, and they were young. They jumped off it not knowing what to do properly and the consequences of it, and they ended up getting admitted into hospital, and they had liver failures, and their heart was playing up, and subhanAllah, they're so young and they want to get big so fast, and they end up going to the hospital faster.
I am guilty of over-relying on myself instead of relying on Allah. Yeah, I think everyone falls into that issue of relying on themselves more so than relying on Allah. I was competing once, and I was so confident when I was competing against this guy. Everyone was like, you're gonna beat him, you're gonna beat him. And I was so confident and maybe overconfident in myself that when I went out, I just took this crazy weird shot at him, and he choked me. And he kept choking me, and I had passed out, fully passed out. And I felt my stomach actually like turn off, as if my stomach and my organs turned off, because he choked me for that long, and the ref never stopped it. When he let go and they woke me up, and then I was like, I actually could have died. Never rely on yourself, yeah.
I've learned in my life that everything comes from Allah. No matter how smart you think you are, no matter how hard you work, if Allah hasn't written it for you, it won't come. And I think I've learned that throughout the course of my life. I think I've learned that no matter what you do, it's Allah that gives it to you. I remember throughout the course of my life, I would always ask Allah for simple things as well. And in dunya, I would ask for simple things like, Ya Allah, make me a better wrestler. Allow my takedowns to become better. Allow my defense to become better. So I'd ask Allah for things in the martial arts fields. And I noticed a massive difference with that. When I did ask Allah, I noticed I would get better. A lot of times I'd get better than I should have in terms of the training I was doing. And I feel like that comes from Allah. And alhamdulillah, everything comes from Allah.
I would say a Muslim fighter is more advantaged, yes, because, you know, we've got the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know that we surrender ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we know that Allah is the one that's in control. And so, you know, I feel that gives us a strength. When you've got the strength to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with you, that's a big thing. That's a very big thing. That was a very big thing for me.
Teaching martial arts is not the only role of a coach. I've always told myself that I was going to give up jiu-jitsu, like competing, the competition side of things, so many times, you know. And then once my sister-in-law said to me, I don't think you realize how the kids look at you when you walk in, you know? Sometimes I walk in and I become a bit oblivious to things. I see boys, you know, I know they have troubled lives. I know they have maybe trouble at school, maybe they have trouble at home. Some of the boys, I know their fathers aren't involved in their lives. And they come to me as if I'm their big brother, you know? And I want them to know that I'm there for them, and I embrace them with the love that I would want someone to embrace me, you know, the way that my brothers and my father embraced me as a child growing up. So yeah, it's pretty intense. A lot of it comes from, you know, pure intentions, not just from myself, but I see the brothers who are there and they get themselves involved. My intention is to show people that I am there when they need me. And sometimes it takes away from my personal life. It probably takes away from my own family, but the intentions are definitely there. My family knows what the intentions are too. So
a lot of people don't understand the power of having a place like a gym. It's like a stronghold for people to come and be a part of. The most rewarding part of having a place like that is people take their shahada every couple of weeks. You know, we run lessons from there and people benefit a lot from it. Sometimes we do these things without realizing. You know, you find yourself in a bond and a brotherhood and a family without realizing. It just happens naturally. But for some people, it's life-changing. And I think when they come and they tell you that and they remind you that, and they tell you where they could have been, they tell you where they used to be, they tell you where they thought they were heading. So I think when you see somebody who's made such a massive change in their life and who is motivated by this brotherhood, those are the moments that make you realize that this place is just more than a gym. This place has to live on for as long as possible.